somehow I just repeat some of the previous lecture slide because that story it looks very complicated. Actually, the result and the highlight of the result are very simple, but somehow we need to go through all the details about this at least one time. So we have this diagram. This is a full bridge circuit and followed by this inductor and capacitor. If resistor is located across this will be inverter, parallel loaded series resonant inverter. If this port is followed by rectifier and low pass filter, then we have parallel loaded series resonant converter. So this analysis results are equally valid for the inverter case and the converter case because this structure of this resonant tank circuit remains the same. For the case of converter, we have here RE. Here is a load resistance R. The R is reflected to this. Then there is R. Right? So assume there is a VCO, and this is output of VCO. Okay. Input of the VCO is constant voltage plus some sinusoidal wave form, and upon that input signal, the output of VCO, this sinusoidal wave represents the frequency of VCO, okay? So constant frequency. So omega SO is constant frequency. And on the top of the omega SO, we have this modulation component. So the frequency will be increased here and decreased here. And the pattern of variation itself is this sinusoidal wave. So this is called modulation signal. So this switching signal is modulated with this component, and this switching frequency is integrated here and is converted. We have phase. Then this is converted to the pulse waveforms, and this full bridge circuit generates this kind of waveforms. So this is the sinusoidal waveforms, but its frequency is modulated in sinusoidal manner again. So here, the frequency will be large, high, and the frequency here will be small, something like this. And this is the modulation period, and this period is 2 pi divided by this modulation frequency. Okay, this sinusoidal waveform is entering through this resonant tank circuit. So LC, and this is the tank transfer function, curve. So magnitude curve. So this is H magnitude. H is transfer function from the sinusoidal input to sinusoidal out. Okay. So it looks like something like this, right? So at this omega SO, this is the average value of this switching frequency. And when switching frequency is large, switching frequency increase here, then gain will be decreased. So you have this magnitude will be reduced. Okay. So in this part, this frequency becomes small here, then gain will be large. So you have this kind of waveforms. Okay. This is called sinusoid, and frequency is modulated by this modulating signal, this omega mt, cosine omega mt. Also, the amplitude is modulated due to this characteristic of this transfer function. So this is very complicated waveforms with frequency is modulated and also amplitude is modulated. So in here, if we connect the peak point of this, you have some this type of envelope. Okay? This envelope varies in the sinusoidal manner, and the frequency of this variation is the same as the frequency of this one, modulation frequency, because this frequency is changed according to this pattern. So we have the same pattern here. Okay? So this is called A hat T, right? Actually, this waveform itself is A T, and the average value of this is A0 magnitude. If you subtract from AT to this average magnitude of this, you will have this. Okay, this A hat T is this part, right? And we moved this part here. The average value is 0. This is the sinusoidal waveforms. So we think this is the input of this process. this one, del omega s is the input, and the variation of this one can be considered as the output. So that transfer function is called frequency to envelope transfer function, GENVS. The input of this is this component, this time varying component, sinusoidal modulating signal, magnitude of that, and the output is this one. This is the sinusoidal waveform, okay? And this is called GENVS, envelope, frequency to envelope transfer function. And this axis is not omega s, this is the omega m, right? So if we have this kind of waveforms, then the omega m is this. So we have some value of the omega m, then this will be very reduced, something like this. Suppose you stretch this one, the cycle by cycle variation of this, what I mean is this one and this one, okay? The frequency difference remain the same, but somehow you stretch out this like this, then this frequency becomes very small, right? Then this will be very large. Then you will have something similar to this, right? So when you are comparing the magnitude of this modulating signal and this AT, right? So magnitude will change if this modulation frequency will change. Right? So in here, this S is this omega m, frequency of modulating signal. This is very different from the case of PWM signal, right? PWM converter case, this axis is always, this axis is the switching frequency, right? But here, this is switching frequency is very small, and this modulation frequency is relatively large. So this axis is not the switching frequency, it is this modulation frequency, right? So this is very important. So we are plotting the input to magnitude ratio of input to output with respect to this omega m variation, right? The switching frequency is very large here, okay? But we are talking about this. This can be smaller, or this omega m becomes faster, larger, okay? If you squeeze this one, then this will be squeezed. This variation also be squeezed. So depending on the modulation frequency, that the gain characteristics will be different, all right? So our goal is somehow to evaluate this. So final goal is somehow we will find the transfer function of this, okay? And S here represents J omega m. This is called frequency to envelope transfer function. So our final goal here is to derive this one, to understand these characteristics or equation or Godet plot of this transfer function will be our final product. So this is the process. First, this one, this VT1 signal shown here is this one. So VT1 signal is repeated here. So this, consider this as the VT1 signal. So again, the frequency of this signal is variation, sinusoidal variation is omega m. So maybe we plot omega m here, maybe something similar to this, right? So frequency of this omega m and this switching frequency is very different. So, and VT1 is the fundamental component of Fourier series is because we have a full bridge circuit. So 4 divided by pi times Vs, Vs the input voltage, all right? Then expression for the VT1 is this one, VT1 is this one, and we have cosine omega SOT plus something. This something is the phase is modulated, or frequency is modulated. So we have this, we have beta sine and omega mt. So we have cosine function, and inside of the cosine function, we have a sine function. Okay, so this is a very complex expression, and this beta is ratio between change in frequency, switching frequency divided by this modulation frequency is called modulation index. All right. So when this modulation index is very small, this can be approximated like this. So it approximates into 3 terms. So first term is this one. This is the fundamental component of this sinusoidal waveform at this frequency. This is unmodulated switching frequency. And we have another term. So this omega SO, unmodulated switching frequency plus this modulation frequency and minus modulation frequency. And the coefficient of this one is VT1. And this is the VT1 times beta divided by 2. This one, and we have this one. All right? So in terms of this spectrum, we only consider 3 terms. One is this. This is the unmodulated switching frequency component. This is the modulated switching frequency component. Okay? So frequency will be larger and frequency will be smaller compared to this. So we only consider 3 components here. Right? So last time we went to do some analysis of this sinusoidal waveforms using some Bessel function or something like that. So this is the conclusion of that analysis. So I just copy the conclusion part of it. Then you have waveforms here. So this is our situation. We have this tank transfer function, and we have this frequency modulated sinusoidal waveforms. But we only consider 3 components: VT1, this one. Okay, this is the unmodulated switching frequency plus modulation frequency, and unmodulated switching frequency minus modulation frequency. So input of this process this is unmodulated switching frequency, modulation frequency, and variation of the switching frequency. There were input, and then once this thing went through this switch circuit, you have these waveforms, and this waveform is expressed. Sum of 3 terms, this one, this one, this one. Okay, some of them are this one. All right? Because we have only 3 components, we only need to consider the gain of this tank transfer function at this frequency, and finally this frequency. The magnitude will be different, and this magnitude is expressed like this, and this is the magnitude of this H, tank transfer function at this frequency. This is at the unmodulated switching frequency, and this one at this frequency. Okay, this one is this one, right? Then use the superposition. Then output of this one is this times this one, plus this input times this one, and another input is coming here, and this is another gain term. So we multiply them together, all of them, and we take the summation of them. Is the VRT expression. So VT1 is the input to this tank transfer function, and this VRT is the output of tank transfer function. So we need to have 2 expression of this one, VRT first, and eventually we need to have expression of this one, this envelope thing. Okay. So next step is, so VRT is expressed like this. This is the product of this and this, one term, and the second term, okay, product of this input signal and transfer function, transfer gain at unmodulated switching frequency, and finally you have this, you have a minus sign in front. Okay, so sum of this, okay, sum of these 3 sinusoid will be the VRT waveforms. So this is the phasor. Because this one, they are constant, but this one is phasor. Okay, so we have 3 phasors. AU is phasor, and AO is also phasor, and this one, AL, is also phasor. Okay, so we have 3 phasors, summation of 3. Okay, this slide show graphically illustrated what we have done. Okay. So this is the VRT waveforms, and this one is the V envelope AT. Okay, AT is this. So this itself is AT, this envelope, and this is AT, and this is the steady state value or average value is A naught. So if you subtract AT from AT, you subtract AO magnitude, then you have this. This is A hat T. This is the envelope sinusoid. So you want to have expression for this, right? So, but we know this. We know this. And we know the expression of this. And there is some phasor analysis. Okay, very long analysis. Then conclusion of this one is this one. This one. This envelope sinusoid is expressed this one. This is phasor. This is everything is phasor. This is magnitude. So this one is phasor. So this is called envelope sinusoid. Phasor expression of phasor representation of envelope sinusoid. And this one AO star is AO is this one. Okay. Previously you have three product of this magnitude and this transfer function gain. And the first one, second one, third one. So you have this phasor can be evaluated. Okay. So if you know A0, then you will know the complex conjugate of that and so on. So this is the final conclusion. So we have expression of this, right? Then you can evaluate the frequency to envelope transfer function. This one. Okay, so this was the input. And we have this, we know we derive the expression of this, and we derive the expression of this one, this envelope sinusoid, and this one, frequency to envelope transfer function is this one. So the expression of A hat star was this one, right? And this is del omega s. So del omega s is here. So this is the transfer function, right? So we need to evaluate this. The procedure is very complicated and very lengthy and very tedious. But I just write out the result. So envelope transfer function, okay, frequency to envelope transfer function is this one. It has this constant, and S here. S is in the denominator. That means there is one pole at origin, right? And this is the transfer function of this one. This upstairs one is numerator, and this downstairs one is denominator. We assume this tank transfer function is expressed ns divided by ds. Okay. Then this envelope s is simply, if you know ns and ds, then you replace ds plus j omega so and ds minus j omega so. It comes in the denominator, and the numerator is very complicated. Okay. So anyway, this is the expression. So denominator is important because denominator carries the information about the pole. So we just consider this one and this one, okay, and this one, right? So this is the tank transfer function, numerator divided by denominator, okay? So when HS is expressed like this is a tank transfer function. S here is switching frequency. S here is modulation frequency. They are different. Then the expression is this one. Okay. So assume this denominator of tank transfer function is this. Okay, we have this quadratic function, and we have one additional pole, right? So if you place the poles here on this complex axis, so this is the complex axis. S here is j omega s switching frequency. So two poles is coming here. One here, another one here. All right. So you know this. This is the standard quadratic function. Then the pole root of this equals 0. One is here and another one is here. Okay. And you have another one. So this is the real pole occurs at minus omega p. So this is the pole of ds. So ds is this one. So you have three poles, right? Then somehow this thing is denominator of this one is this one. ds plus j omega so times ds minus j omega so. So later on we'll prove this, or you can easily think of this. Okay. So if you have this, you have 3 poles here, then this one will have 3 poles here, and that poles across here. Okay. So this term generate these 3 poles, and this term this term generate 3 poles, right? So plus term generate poles in the lower part, and minus term generate the poles in the upper part. We'll prove this later. Okay. So now this is the tank transfer function, and this is the envelope to frequency to envelope transfer function has 6 poles, right? So original 6 poles, and we have additional pole at the origin. So this one will cause some problem, but later on we'll find that this numerator has 0 here, S term in the numerator, so they cancel. So eventually this one will be cancelled. So you don't have to worry about this one. So just consider these 3 poles and 3 poles. Okay? So you have 6 poles. Originally we have 2 poles, right? We have 6 poles. Here we had 3 poles. We have 6 poles, but only 2 poles are dominant. Okay? Dominant pole means this distance between from here to there. This one is the smallest. This one is the smallest. We have this one, but the length is larger. So dominant pole means the distance between pole and this origin is the shortest among 3. So we have 1 pole here. We have another pole here. We have 6 poles, but we just ignore them. And we only consider these 2 poles as the dominant pole of this transfer function. Then you can construct some kind of this standard second order quadratic equation which has pole at these 2 points. Okay, so that is the next step. We forget about this one, so we don't consider this, and only the denominator of tank transfer function having pole 1 here, another one here as this one. Okay, so you have Q naught, omega naught, and omega naught squared, right? So length between this pole and this origin is omega naught. You know this. This is a standard second order system. Okay, actually second order system, omega naught is here, and this is the circle. This circle, so circle like this, and this is the real axis of j omega naught, and the coordinate of this is the real x coordinate. No, imaginary x coordinate and real x coordinate. Okay, so if you have this expression, you locate your pole here and here. And you know this coordinate and this coordinate. This is all standard business in the standard second order system. So, and this is this theta is something like this, and this another one has this mirror image complex conjugate. Right? The name of the game you are trying to have here is, suppose we consider this one as the dominant pole pair, and we construct this type of equation that has the S1 at this point, S2 at this point. Okay? So we actually denominator has 6 poles, but we just take 2 poles, okay, this dominant poles, and try to find out the second order equation which has its pole at this location. That is very easy, okay? Because we know everything about this second order system, relationship between this Q naught, omega naught, and this pole 1, pole 2. So everything is known. So determine this one, Q, E and B, and omega E and B, so that this second order transfer function has poles, first pole at this point, and the second pole at this point, as its solution. Okay? then we have this, we can think this is the denominator of frequency to envelope transfer function. That is the approximation. Okay, we are only taking this two dominant poles. That procedure is shown here. Okay, what we are trying to do is somehow we find this G, E, N, V, S is not the exact one because we only taking two dominant poles. So these two dominant poles will be like this. This one, we don't know this numerator yet, so forget about the numerator one. And the denominator should be S divided by Q E N V omega E N V plus S squared omega E N V squared. Okay, so assume the pole of this one is located here, right? So this is S1 ENV, S2 ENV is located here. So we know this. If this transfer function generates this one, then distance from this pole to origin gotta be this omega ENV. Okay, this is known from the standard second order transfer function. So this should be true. So length from origin to this S1 ENV is this one. So the length is square root of this length plus square root, square root of this plus square root of this length, and taking the square root of the summation, we will have this. So this is the equation. So omega ENV is this one. So this x minus real x coordinate is this one. So you have this one squared, and this is the length from here to this point, which is this one, and squared, and the square root of that is omega ENV. All right. So that if you find out this omega ENV, then that omega ENV will generate one pole here and another pole here. Okay. This is called coefficient matching somehow. So this is the expression. But if the Q naught is much larger than 0.5, this is resonant tank circuit. Q of resonant tank circuit is very large. So it satisfies this requirement. Then this will be reduced to this. Okay. So inside of the square root, we have something squared. Then we take the absolute value. It come out from the square root. So omega ENV is this one. So if omega ENV is this one, that value comes here, then pole will be generated here. Okay? So we find out the expression for the omega ENV. Right? Another one is we need to find out this QENV. Right? This one is very easy because this real axis is the same. This distance is the same as the previous one because this pole was shifted somewhere here, but this x coordinate is not changing. Let me go back to this one. This coordinate and this coordinate remain the same, okay? But in here, we are trying to find out this omega ENV and QENV, right? So if you have omega ENV and QENV, then this x coordinate remain the same. So this value and this value should be the same. That is the same x coordinate. Then you have this expression, right? Then QENV is given by this and given by this, right? So this is the Q of the tank circuit. This is the Q of this frequency to envelope transfer function. Right? This is very important. So we'll be using this a lot later. This is kind of conclusion of our analysis. We went through many details. Okay, we skipped some tedious derivation, but we followed the main trait of this one, and now we understand this. Finally, the example. Suppose we have some tank circuit, and transfer function of tank circuit is this. Okay, this is the low pass filter. tank circuit. The parallel load, the series resonant converter or inverter has this one. Okay, so you have this one. Then you know this, right? Then you plot, Bode plot here in J omega axis. This axis is J omega S, and the DC value is 0 dB because we have unity, and we have double pole at this frequency, and there will be this peaking 20 log Q 0. If Q is large, then it will go like this. Okay, this is Bode plot. And this is the pole location of HS. You are plotting this in S plane. S here is J omega S. It's a switching frequency region. Okay, and we have one pole here, another pole here. Okay, and distance between origin and the pole location is omega naught, omega 0, and this, if you draw the half circle, then this is the J omega naught, and this is the minus J omega naught. We have this. All right. This is the tank transfer function representation, Bode plot of this transfer function, and the pole location derived, inferred from this expression. Okay. Then we know this. All right. So we have this tank circuit, and the frequency modulated sinusoid that came into the tank circuit. Then output of the omega RT has something, and this from this envelope we extract the envelope sinusoid, then transfer function from switching frequency to envelope is given by this, right? So we know this, right? Because with this we have four poles transported this omega m plane, but we are only taking two. Smallest one called the dominant poles, and from dominant poles we derive this, okay, and we assume this Km and this additional pole is originate from the numerator. We only considered the denominator, okay. We didn't mention anything about this numerator. That will come later, okay. So assume this comes from numerator part, and the denominator part is this, right? So only this denominator has the poles. It has two poles, and transfer function is this one, and this Q E and B and omega E and B is expressed like this. Okay, this omega E and B is distance between this one and this one. Okay, so if the omega SO switching frequency is larger than this one, you don't need this. Okay, because this is already positive, because this switching frequency is larger than frequency. But if switching frequency is smaller than resonant frequency, then you need this. You need this sign, and or you need to switch the order of this. Okay, so this is our final conclusion. So omega E and B is expressed like this, and the Q E and B is, this is the Q of the resonant tank circuit, and you have multiplication factor of this. Okay, so this, so Q E and B can be larger than Q naught or smaller than Q naught. So you have this. We already know this. Then Bode plot of this transfer function. This is the DC gain. So this is another 0 dB, and it has 20 log km here, and this 0 is coming at very high frequency usually. Okay, the 0 is coming much higher frequency than these poles. So most often we ignore this actually. So only we play with the denominator. So denominator has this one. So this has this double pole frequency at omega E and B, and this we have some peaking, and magnitude of peaking is 20 log Q E and B, which is this one, and this has -2 slope, and this we have additional 0. We have 0, right? Okay. So this is the just making use of the result. Okay. So this is very easy. The conclusion is very easy. Let me repeat this. tank transfer function has this form, all right? Then pole is located here. Then this frequency to envelope sinusoid transfer function has the same second order transfer function in the denominator and may have some constant gain and may have some additional poles that the zeros may be complex one, but all these zeros are coming very high frequency. So maybe you ignore this, but you cannot ignore this. So you have this low frequency asymptote, and at this frequency, this omega E and B, you have double pole, and this Q, quality factor is this one, then you are peaking, something like this, right? And location of this denominator pole, one is here, another one is here, and the distance from the origin to pole is just this omega E and B. We have this, another one is this, and this x coordinate in the minus real axis is this one, okay? And initially we have 1, 0 here, but during this procedure, one additional 0 is, S term is coming in the numerator always, so they cancel. So pole 0 cancellation occurred at the origin, you have this, okay? So this is, again, this is the pole 0 location of this G, E, and B S transfer function in J omega M plane, okay? So this is real axis and imaginary axis, and this is Bode plot, okay? So omega M. Okay. This is, obviously, this is the omega S plane. So everything here is J omega S. This one is J omega M, right? So we two different things. So always think about this one, right? Okay, so this is the summary of the previous content. Okay, so this is new one, all right? So we know this. Because of this result, we know we will have double pole at this frequency as the distance between switching frequency and resonant frequency. Distance between resonant frequency and the switching frequency. At that frequency, we have pole, double pole, okay? In GBS, GENBS transfer function, okay? So physically, we understand this by following this. Here we have three representations. One is this, okay? This x-axis here is omega s. This one is also omega s, and this is unmodulated resonant, unmodulated switching frequency, and modulation frequency was omega m. So we have this one is the fundamental component, and this one is some component at this frequency. Okay, so we have three components. One here, and this one, and this one, and the frequency of this sinusoid is this one is unmodulated switching frequency. This one is unmodulated switching frequency plus modulation frequency. And this one is unmodulated frequency minus modulation frequency. All right? So, okay, so this is one thing. And this is the tank transfer function. Suppose the tank transfer function has this high gain at resonant frequency, and the other gains are very small. So very high Q filter. High Q resonant circuit, okay? So if this one, this term occurring here, this one occurs at this frequency, and this frequency is the same as this frequency. Then this sinusoidal component is touching this resonant frequency, so there will be resonance, okay? Something will pop up here. So the condition for that is if this omega SO minus omega M star means the specific switching frequency is same as this one, okay? Because the switching frequency was here, and somehow the modulation frequency as becoming this one is the same as this, then we have this relationship, then omega SO minus omega AM star. Okay, this is a spacing modulation frequency we are talking about. Is omega naught. Then we have this peak. Okay, that means at this frequency, omega m hat, we have pole at this frequency range. This in omega axis, right? So that means at this frequency, omega SO minus omega naught, okay? At this frequency, as this frequency, okay? So this omega m star as this frequency, at this frequency, we should have this double pole because this sinusoidal component triggers this resonant frequency and something is coming up at that frequency. Then if you take a look at that phenomena in this axis, at this frequency, there is a pole. Okay? So pole occurs at this frequency. Omega SO minus omega naught. Okay? So some specific example, suppose this unmodulated switching frequency was this one, okay? And the resonant frequency was this one, okay? So if the modulation frequency is 20 kilohertz, modulation frequency is 20 kilohertz, then this one minus this one was 50, and this one was 20, then this becomes this 30, right? 30 times 10 to 3 at this frequency, then there is a pole. Should be double pole here. So at this frequency, the omega n is the difference between this one. So this one was 50, and this one is 30. So at this 20 kilo radian per sec, we should have this pole in this transfer function at omega m dimension, omega m axis. Okay? So you do this, right? I wrote down this. Same idea, okay? Because this phenomena, this omega SO minus omega naught should be this pole frequency in omega m domain, okay? So we have this, and we have same conclusion about this here. This one. This is a star, and we have this star relationship here is the same thing. Right? So this is some physical explanation about the presence of double pole at this frequency. Difference between switching frequency and resonant frequency. Okay, there should be a double pole. Another story is this one. So we discussed the poles of this GENBS. How about 0? 0 is coming from this one. This is the numerator. Okay, very complex one. All right. So there is no simple analytical method to approximate the zeros are known today. So that means nobody has succeeded to derive this. All right. So we don't have any analytical tool to predict this. This is just so complex. Okay. So this prediction of the zero is very difficult. So no one has succeeded. But we know this. That typically all the zeros, okay, root of this one equals 0, located at frequencies much greater than the omega s switching frequency. So it occurs very far higher frequencies. So it does not affect the dynamics of this transfer function. We ignore this. Okay. Just we don't bother about this. Okay. So there are some zeros, but they usually occur at very high frequencies. So it does not affect this dynamics much. Right. So this is the good news. And another interesting is DC gain of this frequency to envelope transfer function. Right. So definition of this one is this. This is the result. Okay, so G E N V S. S is J omega M is this one, envelope sinusoid divided by del omega S, right? And the envelope sinusoid is let me write this way. Output of this, okay? So output of this VO hat is this one, okay? So this one, and this D del omega S is here. We have D omega S. So this low frequency value is VT1, is the magnitude of the sinusoid at the unmodulated switching frequency, and the slope of that is this one. So VT1 times this one. This is the simply slope of this. So slope of this H curve at this resonant frequency is 0. Okay. So at the resonant frequency, DC gain of this one is 0, and at this frequency, this gain is negative because the slope is negative, and at this frequency range, this slope is positive. So I missed something here. Okay. Okay, this is the about the conclusion we are talking about. So finally we have one example. Okay. So let's go very carefully this final example. So we want to analyze this. So this is the spec is given by this. The input voltage is this one, 150, and output power is 50 watt, and VCO gain is this number, all right? Then we do some analysis. So output power is 50 watt, and the R is 400 watt, okay? So, and VRMS is this one. VRMS is this one, right? To generate this, okay, we have 400. So 400 times this one squared is this 50 watt, okay? Is that right? Let me. Okay, then you will have this. All right. So VRMS, the out voltage at this output, okay, this sinusoidal waveform has this RMS value, all right. So with this, then this magnitude of this is 200, all right. So this is the RMS value. This is a peak value, and peak value of VT1 is we have this full bridge, and the 4 divided pi times this one is the input, and this one is output. Okay, this is the magnitude of this input sinusoid and the output sinusoid. The ratio between this and this number, right? So we have this tank transfer function. So tank transfer function is something like this. Then from this analysis, we conclude that switching frequency should be larger than resonant frequency by this much, right? So this switching frequency of this inverter should satisfy this condition, right? And we evaluate this omega naught from this component, and we have this. Then the unmodulated switching frequency of this converter, this inverter, should be this one. Okay, this is determined from the input-output condition with this out power, and we conclude this. Then with this, we already know the switching frequency of this inverter. So unmodulated switching frequency is this one, right? Then we evaluate this open circuit voltage and the short circuit current. So open circuit voltage is, this is the magnitude of sinusoid here, right? And open circuit gain of this one, this is open circuit, R is open. Then this is the ratio between this one, this reactance at this particular frequency, because we have this condition. Then you evaluate this value. So this number turns out this. Then VOC is multiplication of this number and this value. So you have this number, right? The I short circuit is given by V open circuit divided by this. This is the output impedance with input port shorted. So that is simply parallel combination of this and this at the switching frequency. So you evaluate this, then you have this number. Then this short circuit current is given by this. So this is the inverter ellipse. Inverter ellipse is shown here. So VOS, open circuit voltage, is this one, short circuit current, and this is the matched current, matched load with this one. So this is this one, and this is the 400 ohm here. Okay. So we know this. This is the peak value of output voltage is this one. Peak value of output current is this one. This is the peak value. So if you evaluate the output power, so is output power. And this is the peak value of short circuit, not short circuit, current at this point is this one. And this one is 200, this one. Then you have 50 watt output power, right? So this is the, based on the DC requirement, we evaluate the resonant, the unmodulated switching frequency, and with that information, we evaluate this short circuit current and open circuit voltage, and we construct the inverter ellipse. But our real concern is this tank transfer function, right? So this tank transfer function is the input to the tank, output to the tank, right? Transfer function is just the voltage division of this impedance and this impedance. So sum of this impedance and this impedance comes in the denominator, and numerator comes the parallel combination of this. We have this, and convert this thing into standard form. So by plugging these numbers, we evaluate this omega naught and Q like this, right? And because this Q is larger than 0.5, so you have double pole. So this has 0 at this frequency, and this is the real part and the imaginary part. So with this, we evaluate this real part and the imaginary part of this tank transfer function. Is shown graphically, shown here. Okay, so one is S1. So this term has 0. This term has pole S1 and S2, and this is the equation, expression for the poles. And with this number, we evaluate everything, the real part and the imaginary part. So we have minus the real part and imaginary part here, and imaginary part here. So we have one pole here, another pole here. Okay, should be same distance. And this real axis is this number. This one, right? This one. This is long. J omega naught. We know the omega naught. This should be this number, right? Because this is J omega naught, and this is minus J omega naught. Okay? So somehow I made a mistake. I think we have this number. prefix minus j okay, so we know this, right? Then we derive the denominator of G, E, and B. Very simple. Let me just show this one. Okay, this summarizes what we have done so far. Okay, so we started this. So this was the input, and with this switch network and tank network, we have this one. So now we are trying to find out the control voltage to output transfer function. Control voltage to output, control voltage to envelope transfer function. Okay. Previously, we derived frequency to envelope transfer function, which is this one. But we have this Km. Km is the VCO gain. Okay. It's some constant. So VCO gain is constant. Then we multiply this, and this is control to envelope transfer function. Right? So we know we assume some value for Km. So just to evaluate this one, we already went through this. So G, E, and V is expressed like this. So we have denominator, we have numerator, we have some gain here. Okay, and this omega m. S is J omega m. That means omega m is S divided by J. Okay. So here we have S somewhere. Okay. We have omega. Then S is coming in here. So there is a pole and the origin. Right. Later on we'll use this expression. But first assume this. Tank transfer function is this one. But we already know this. The NS numerator is just 1. Okay. Because of this low pass filter, NS is 1 and DS is this one. Okay. Then denominator of G and VS is this one. NS is 1. And denominator DS of tank transfer function is this. Then G, E, and VS, we have some numerator here and denominator in downstairs. And denominator is given by this. Okay? This is our conclusion. So in this transfer function, you have two poles here. One pole here, another pole here. Right? So this is the expression of the standard second order system. It can be factorized like this. It's the same equation because if we put this one here, then this becomes 0. Okay? Put this one, and then ratio of this one becomes -1. Then that leads to 0. Okay? So with this pole, we have this equation, this term, and with this pole, we have this equation. Right? So we have two different representation of this second order term. One is this one, this is standard one, and somehow we derived this one, another one. So if the coordinate of this pole, two poles are known, then you have this. This is the root of ds equals 0. Okay, at omega s plane. You understand this, right? So previously we identified this one with omega m and the q, right? Here we just using this one. It's the same thing. This equation is the same, and I used this. So in this term, if we put this number, then this becomes 0. Means this term has 0 at this point, which is S1. This one. Okay. Okay. So this is the denominator of this tank transfer function, then denominator of this G, E, and B, S is just this one. Okay? ds plus j omega 0 times ds minus j omega 0. Then one of these one of these generate these two poles, and one of these generate these two poles. So in here we have 4 poles, and this coordinate of the 4 poles is already known because this minus omega remain the same. Okay, this axis remain the same. We only shifted up 2 poles here. Okay, and this is raised this much, J omega SO. This is unmodulated switching frequency, and raised this much, raised this much, and raised this much, and raised this much. Okay. Then this is, so this is the equation of the denominator of GNBS, and this equation is simply written in this manner. Okay, let me just introduce this slide. Okay, and we'll come back this one later. So with this, from this mapping, we have this one. We have these 4 poles. So we redraw 4 poles here. Right? This one, this one, this one, this one. And the denominator is this one. ds plus j omega SO times ds minus j omega SO. Okay? Then we have this. And put s plus j omega s here. J omega s here. Okay? So this term is related with this one. It generates 2 poles. Okay? So it generates 2 poles, and this term. So you put here s minus j omega SO like this. Then we have 1 pole, another pole, and we have 2 poles, additional 2 poles. So total we have 4 poles. That poles are shown here. Okay? So if you take a look at this term, just this term, then this term is this one, and you put S4, this one, which is this one. This coordinate of this is minus omega r here, minus omega r minus this one, j omega SO plus omega I. You put this S1, S4 here, then it becomes 0. That means this term has pole, this one. Right? So somehow this is the opposite. Okay? So this plus 1 generate poles here. So this one generate this pole, and this term generate this pole, and this one generate this one generate this one. Right? So there is a mapping here. Right? So our previous approach is just take 2 of this, and we derive the second order equation, standard second order equation, which has pole at this location. That was our previous approach. In here, we take the formal approach. With this, we know the denominator, and play with this to derive the equation, to modify this equation into 2 quadratic forms in standard format. Okay? So we have this. Then somehow this can be simplified as this. So we have one standard quadratic one here, another one here. There is the relationship between these. Okay? We won't go through the details about this. We are just taking the result of this. So you have this expression, this expression. This expression predict the poles and 0, this one. And this one also present the 4 zeros. Four poles, not zeros, because this one came from the denominator. So okay, let me show this. Okay, we go back to this. So this is the tank transfer function. So it has this one, this pole, original pole here. Okay, this is the root of ds equals 0. And the pole location of GENBS, GNBS, they are the same poles. So same poles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, same poles, but this representation is based on this equation. Based on equation number 1. From equation number 1, so this will be immediately transformed these 4 poles at this location, okay? But in same location, we use this one, equation number 2. Then equation number 2, we know QL, omega L, and QH, omega H, okay? With that information, from this one, it's not easy to. From this one generates 2 poles. This one generates 2 poles, okay, double poles in complex conjugate format. So with this equation number 2, we have this representation. So distance from the origin to the pole location, root location, is omega L, omega H, omega L, omega H, and location of this minus real axis is related with this one is related with this one is related to this one, but this axis remains the same, so they should be the same. Okay? This is very complicated to explain, right? So the difference between the previous approach, we stopped here. And we just considered only 2 values, right? And we derived that quadratic form, okay? But we are representing all of 4. So with 4 roots, so equation was 1, okay? This one is, we directly derive this, and somehow this is modified in this manner. 2 separated second order terms, standard second order terms. One is here, another one is here, and in pole locations, this first equation predicts this, and second equation predicts this. They should be the same thing because we are talking about the same root. So this should be the same expression. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is very complicated. This is the final result of the analysis. The exact analysis with 4 poles. We have transfer function like this. You have first double pole here. Q is relatively small. Okay, and we have another pole. Okay, we have 2 quadratic forms. So first one is this one, and second one is this one, and somewhere between you have 0. Okay, so we have this one, but the switching frequency of this converter is here. So we are forgetting about this. Now, the one I'm explaining is the accurate approach to predict this pole and another pole. Later on, we get rid of this. We just throw away this, and we use a simple formula. EENB and QENB was shown derived here. This is the approximation. Only taking two smaller ones, then you have this one. And we use this, we approximate this with additional condition. Then final one was this one, omega SO minus omega naught. And so we have 3 different answers for the same problem. This one will be the most accurate one. This one. And the second accurate one is this one, blue one. Okay, it does not predict this one, but this one is the same. And the final, the most simplified one is this one, which is the red one. Okay, so there are some difference, and the most exact one has this additional pole at very high frequency. So we forget about this. So you are just taking this. 3 of them are almost the same. Okay, so with this, we'll go through some details about this approach, and later on we just take this one. Okay, so we use this final approximation of this one, second approximation. All right, so that will be much easier. All right, so this is about the conclusion of this story. Again, this procedure is very confusing and is rather complex. Some details of this phase analysis. Okay, I spent some time to follow this. Right. So later on, if we go through this, then we just forget about many things, and finally we just use this one. Okay. With this, we can predict the transfer function of resonant converter and compensation design of resonant converter. Okay. That it follows later. That will be the main story we will be discussing until the end of this semester. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.